I think now the time to explain that, like, each one of these videos I'm doing, pretty much the research, the thought, the experience, decades of experience in it, and the physical thing, because I'm fucking camped out on a beach. You know what I mean? Living rough. I could have a fucking machine gun. You know what I mean? And there could be, say, 20,000 of me in 2 months. But I don't. I have my phone and I have videos. And this is where this strategy that the Labor Party is using, of just continue on, just build a fucking pseudo army of welfare and hampered to construction people and mining people and things like that, in cahoots with the companies, and sell the exact resource that builds machine guns to the fucking enemy, whilst ignoring constant comment. There's a point, and that point was fucking 2 years ago. You really should have started replying 2 years ago, because now there's 2 years worth of this. And so if there's one act of violence, which includes violence caused by neglect, which is what I'm showing, when you neglect to appropriately respond, to adequately, address everything like that, criticism of foundational issues in a country that you claim to be sitting on, if you get 2-3 years of this, then we expect 2 or 3 years of this in reply, so you can justify why you did what you did. Not oh, we're gonna arrest you, we're gonna do this, we're gonna any more of that, and you're resorting to a violent method. My choice of non-violence hindered me in massive ways. Think of, like, if you see what's appearing in front of you daily, that's fuckloads of work. That work could have gone into something terrible, but it didn't. Now that's a risk that I chose to take, because I'm a builder, not a destroyer. My people are builders, not destroyers. We built stuff here. We didn't destroy it. Now, you claim to be the Labor Party. And for this, the initiation of the Labor Party was initiated by builders. But you're not building anything. You're destroying exactly what was built conceptually with this strategy. And you're using my tax money and fucking countless others and the credit card to fund a mutiny. But the problem is you're not organised. If you were organised, you would have started replying to this 3 years ago. Now, you may think going over budget on building a train line, this is just inflation. This is what happens in building projects. This is the kind of thing. No, it's not. It's bad organisation. And the credit card is always there. Now, the running costs for me to do this, which is holding up a fucking huge end of a pretty large conflict that would be, as you can extrapolate that down to how big would this conflict be if we'd already gone to violence. So I've saved you like billions of dollars, and I've done that by being efficient in my criticism of your government's failings. There's no way, without resorting to now, like Maoist shit, which won't fly. We are not Chinese. Inside every single one of your employees, every one of your welfare guys, most of them, not all of them, there's one of me. There's a person that has one of them that's happy to fucking sit, for a couple of months out in the sun, out in the weather, out in the cold with a machine gun and make sure that you never fucking do this again. And they're not going to play the game. So you've lost so much ground. You've got so much work ahead of you because each directly addressed piece of content that I've done, which is an act of peace, not an act of war, needs to be responded to. And it needs to be responded to publicly and with legislation that addresses each issue in this newly emergent phenomenon of digital interaction, which is actually no different. There should really be a representative of the federal Labor Party sat next to me. That's the basis of our entire two-party political system, but there isn't that. There's me flinging. Now think of this. Imagine I'd been writing these in a conflict that has been going and we've been receiving information via, telegraph or homing pigeon or whatever it is. All these things. I'm required to keep a log in order to do this. And there is a chance that you may get a huge box of correspondence that might address 2 or 3 years worth of warfare in the age of sail. Because we all know that letters were left with, all types of people. There was the postal service to get telegraphs back. That's why captains were given autonomy. But you're not doing anything, and you're getting daily stuff. But now you've left it all to the last minute. I'm guessing. Because otherwise you would have already responded. And because you haven't responded, now you have to go and claw your way through 3 years of relevant critique. And this is where, if I have to, I'll stamp the little Liberal logo on the left of it. Sorry, on the right of it. I don't know, whichever side on the letterhead that would go. And then you have to respond. I've been deep out at sea. You know what I mean? I've been walking amongst the whole thing, wandering in and out, and being fucking completely destroyed by it because you didn't take me seriously. That's a huge problem in any period. And it's like your whole claim to even be in office is to support who you were perceiving me to be, and you didn't. And then your whole responsibility is to respond to who I actually was, and you also didn't. And now you have 3 years worth of back work to do while I continue to just do what I'm doing. How long does it take to naturalise in a country? 180 years, I reckon, sat on this beach. Members of my family. You know what I mean? I'm right as rain to just nick off and fucking go and hunt wallabies for a year. I'd quite like that. Go fishing up on the west coast. I'd like to see that. I personally think there's people out there. I'd take the chances to be, they might be pissed off and they might try and kill me. Do you want me to do that? That's saying, is there people there? Is there thylacine? I don't know. It's just the whole fucking thing. You've made such a mess And I'm not saying like, oh, every single person on welfare should go and live on the fucking beach. Although they could, for a whole lot cheaper, especially in Western Australia where it's not even cold and it barely rains and there's a fucking never-ending fucking line of beaches and a tent costs fuck all. It's like, what? I think the thing is, it's like, what? New York and the financial institutions around New York, Wall Street, right? New York is a phenomenon from the state system in the United States because it was a port. It was one of the first ports, and because of the state system, because it was split up so much, like they cut that thing up like it was confetti. That constricted the size, and then it's on an island. That's the phenomenon of New York. It's not something to be aspired to. It's just a phenomenon from limitations on its geographical thing. And this is where our president, or not our president, the president of the United States, Donald Trump, he is a phenomenon that emerges from that place. And there's some aspects of that will make him a very good leader, and there's some aspects that will make him a poor leader. But Australia, this welfare city-obsessed phenomenon that is the entire thing of the Labor Party, that's the problem. We've got the complete opposite phenomenon in Australia that New York has. We've got abundant land. And so the focus should be on regional areas. And WA at the moment is basically at war with the regional areas, which is the entire foundation of the state. That, by its very nature, should make them, void. Any claims that they have to leadership void. As you attack your regional base, the historic foundation of the state that you sit upon, you supply to our enemies and you dilute the citizens' economics with debt. But I think if you were claiming monarchy, you're despots. You've claimed by illegitimacy, and you need to backdate based on this, because no one's arrested me. You know what I mean? I'm not in a federal prison. I'm not in a state prison. I'm not in a military prison. And I believe that my actions are up there with the most peaceful opposition in what I consider over-the-line war tactics that I know of. You've just got to open the envelope. If you don't, of course, there is a strategy to not open the envelope, but more and more it's going to be in other people's interests globally that you do open the envelope. It's like a time bomb, but I don't even like using that word because it's not a bomb. It's politics. And I suppose you've just won an election by not doing politics, and that's provably. And the only reason you're still acting as if you're the premier and that you're holding power is because the West Australian people don't know. Now, if I can time this stuff down to the day and do all these things and go all around the world on basically the smallest budget in the world, how much do you think it costs me to get that distributed to the Western Australian people? You can't keep anything out of Western Australia. You can't keep it out of prisons. You can't keep it out of, you can't keep vapes off the street while you're trying to claim that you're keeping a fucking airborne virus off the street and you stripped everyone's rights. You can't keep this out. If I turn my attention to distribution, which I'm pretty fucking good at, That's what I was doing before you disrupted me and sabotaged my business. I mean, what's involved in that? What do I need? A publisher? Do I even need a publisher? Maybe I can just, Vistaprint, in the spirit of West Australian politics, I'll just Vistaprint 10,000 pamphlets and fucking deliver them. What's that going to cost me? How are you going to prevent me from doing that? If Clive Palmer can put a fucking ad in the thing, like, you're assuming that's expensive. That's let alone the word of mouth that I will achieve as soon as, strategic people within Western Australia get wind of this and realise that, there's still legitimacy. I think your whole assumption was that I was crazy and that I was going to jump off a fucking bridge or something, and you let me do it. And so what does that say about the actual mentally ill and homeless situation in Western Australia? You're doing the same to them. If it's not pro-Labor, you don't fucking care. Yeah. Anyway. It's a bit too windy, and I'm actually thinking about fucking just staying here another night. It is cold, and I kind of wish I had done this years ago, and I just would have, I had the idea to just trek up the coast on a paddleboard. And I guess this was more important. And I'm glad. But if you want to know what I'll be doing when I get back to Western Australia, that's what I'll be doing. I'll be fucking trekking up the coast on a paddleboard. Handing out pamphlets. I'll fucking deliver each one by myself. I walk a fair fucking distance every day. On a couple of oats, a bit of sugar and fucking some powdered milk now. I've even, don't even need my mum's milk anymore. I just get powdered milk. As soon as I liquidate my property, pay off my debts, which are fuck all. It's a lot smaller than your debts. I guess I'll just get to work distributing pamphlets, because I've already written a book. I just got to teach people how to read it.